A perfect fit, a hidden line, the architecture of design. The steel is hard, the space is thin, the work of life is deep within. Alchemists spoke of the coagula, the reassembly. They knew that after the dissolution, the parts must be brought back together. But they warned of the golden mean. If the parts are too far apart, the ignition fails. If the parts are too close, the oxygen is smothered. The great work is not about closeness. It is about the perfection of the gap. The silence is what makes the sound. Welcome back to the Simple Tapes. This is your friend Vinny. It is a sunny but chilly Sunday here in the Rust Belt. I'm sitting at my bench sipping an energy drink can. I was looking at the back door of the family home, aka the bunker. It has been sticking lately. So I thought about taking a sandpaper to the edge, shaving it down until it sits perfectly flush, zero gap, airtight. But I realized that if I make this fit too perfect today, the first time the humidity hits in July, the wood would swell and I'd be locked inside. Today, we are looking at the 0-point tolerance. We are moving into the art of the reassembly. We are talking about why simple living requires you to find the exact amount of space between yourself and the rest of the world. In high precision machining, we talk about clearance. You might think that a perfect fit means zero space between two parts. But in the physical world, that is a disaster. If two metal surfaces have no clearance, they cannot move. As soon as they get warm, the molecules in both surfaces expand and the parts seize. They become a single useless block of heat. The 0-point tolerance is that microscopic gap, often measured in thousandths of an inch, that allows for motion. It is the buffer zone. We do not calculate this in our personal lives. We think that to be a good friend or a dedicated worker, we have to eliminate the gap. We think that joining means having no boundaries. This is prevalent in the hustle culture that we see today. But in engineering, no boundaries means no movement. Simplicity is the science of the clearance. Story time. There's a railroad track that is just a stone's throw from the bunker that I enjoy walking alongside. I once read about the way that they lay railroad tracks. The steel rails look like one continuous line, but if you look closely, there's a small gap where the rails meet. This gap is called the expansion joint. If the railroad workers lay those rails too tight, if they try to make the line perfect with zero tolerance, the sun becomes an enemy. On a hot day, the steel expands. Because there is no gap to move into, the rail has nowhere to go but out. It buckles. It creates what they call a sun kink. The track snaking across the gravel until the next train comes along and derails because of that kink. We do this with our schedules. We lay our tasks and obligations end to end with zero clearance. We think we're being efficient, but as soon as the heat of an emergency, a random event, etc. hits, we buckle. We derail because we were afraid of a little bit of empty space. I spent years trying to eliminate my own clearance, I'll admit. I thought that being a good instructor meant being available every second of the day, I thought that being a dedicated grad student meant having no hobbies, no social lives, and no inner silence. I spent years trying to eliminate my own clearance. I thought that being, for example, a good adjunct instructor meant having my office hours bleed directly into my lecture slash lab, and my lecture slash lab bleed into my grading assignments and papers. I thought the space in my calendar was wasted time. I was trying to be a zero tolerance human being. I thought that the gap was where I was failing. But I realized I was just seizing up. I was so joined to the schedule that I couldn't breathe, and it was affecting my productivity increasingly. Students were complaining, I was getting burned out, etc., etc. I was so buckled under the sun. I had to learn how to machine a buffer zone. I had to learn how to leave, say, 10 minutes of nothing between the things that matter. It was painful, I admit, to realize that my availability was actually my friction. I was afraid that if I created space, I would be seen as lazy or loose. A day that is packed too tight for the heart will always buckle before the sun goes down. So here's my challenge to you this week. Find your clearance. Identify one area of your life that feels stuck, where the friction is creating heat. Maybe it is a project. Maybe it is a relationship where you are trying too hard to be everything. This week, create a 1% gap. If you usually answer a text in 10 seconds, wait 10 minutes. If you usually pack your day until the minute you sleep, leave one 30-minute expansion joint where you do absolutely nothing. Give the molecules room to expand. You are not pulling away, you are machining the fit. You cannot be useful if you are seized. Restore the gap. Peace is the space between the parts. Trust the clearance. And hey, one small thing before you go. I was trying to zip up my heavy leather jacket this morning. I was in a hurry, pulling the tab with everything that I had. The leather was stiff and the zipper would not budge. I kept pulling harder, creating more tension, more friction, until I thought the zipper would actually snap off my jacket. So I stopped. I pushed the two sides of the leather slightly together to create a tiny bit of slack, a tiny bit of clearance for the teeth of the zipper to move. And lo and behold, the zipper glided right up. It wasn't the force that won, it was the give. Till next week, this is your friend Vinny. Keep it ordinary, keep it simple.